with separate timings for question and answers. Hence, request you all questions in the chat box, and we will take it up with the speaker later on. Participants are also requested to provide their details in the chat box as per the format provided. These details would be used in circulating the certificates to you. And now I would like to invite Dr. Namika to take the proceedings ahead.
Thank you, Nitinji. Thanks a lot. A very warm good afternoon to one and all. I welcome you all on behalf of CCS Niam Jaipur to this webinar of today from the Center of Public-Private Partnership on the theme Agriculture Transformation through Public-Private Partnership. This is going to be a 1-hour webinar starting from 3 o'clock, ending by 4 o'clock. The flow of the program would be that in 5 minutes I'll be briefing you with the webinar and introducing you with the resource person of the day today, Shri Raman Vadvaji. Then we'll be having session of Shri Raman Vadvaji from 3:10 till 4. 5 minutes, 10 minutes we can have. After the session, we can have for query rounds. I request all the participants to kindly put in the information of their name, designation, email ID, the organization they are belonging in the chat box so that we can further proceed with your queries. If you have got any query, kindly type your query in the chat box. After the session, we'll be taking with the queries. With this, I start with the webinar of today. In the starting, I would like to state that this webinar is planned under the various 10 centers of CCS NIAM, amidst which Center for Public-Private Partnership, which is being chaired by Dr. Ramesh Mittal. Sir is an eminent faculty. He is with NIAM as a director and as a chairman for this center. He is an expert in strategic management and marketing. Sir has got an extensive experience of 30 years with organization of national and international repute. Sir has got more than 100 research papers published and many books to his authorship. Sir has got 200 plus trainings under his mentorship in CCS NIAM and several research projects which he has guided. Moving ahead, I would like to introduce you all to the speaker of the day, Sri Raman Vadvaji, Deputy Executive Officer, Madhya Pradesh State Rural Livelihood Mission, Panchayat and Rural Development Department, Government of Madhya Pradesh. Ramanji is a livelihood and value chain expert with about 20 years of working experience in rural areas. He have been with core government in initial years of service and thereafter joined the World Bank project. He has worked at the grassroots level in a cluster of villages for promoting and creating livelihood and job opportunities for the rural poor. And this dint of knowledge let reach at state level. Working with poor communities, he gave an understanding of the needs, skill sets, and enabled developed planning and implementation system having specialization in the procurement of goods and services as per bilateral, multilateral agencies procurement norms. With extensive experience of working at lowest level has made him passionate worker who always loves framing plans and ensuring their implementations. With about more than 80% of the population engaged in agriculture in rural area development needs partnership with various sectors. So, being procurement expert, Ramanji ensured that the standalone system transformed into partnership with various private players for community development. He have exposure and training of value chain and agriculture partnership models of both national and international, China, Netherlands, Bangladesh. The self-written manuals of projects for making systems in place has certainly helped him to learn and implement programs effectively. Well, this and much more about our speaker for the day, Sri Raman Vadvaji. Moving ahead, may I please request Ramanji to take over and kindly proceed with the session on the theme Agriculture Transformation through Public-Private Partnership. Ramanji, please.
Thank you very much, Anamika ji. It's a great opportunity for me to be a part of this institution. I'm thankful to Mr. Mittal and Anamika ji for giving me an opportunity to take this webinar. It has also been long that we have been associated with NIAM for long in hiring their best students who would help us, who have rather helped us to take various agricultural activities, including marketing, to a different level. So, if permitted, may I start with the presentation, please?
Definitely, sir. We can start with the presentation. Again, I request all the participants to kindly don't unmute your mics. We will be muting all the mics except the speaker's mic. We request please don't unmute your mics. It creates a distortion and noise. If audience have got any kind of a query, they can write down in the chat box. Thank you. So we can proceed.
Okay. So, to begin with, I'll be starting with a small brief about what our organization is, and then I'll be taking you through the various kind of public-private partnerships in agricultural sector, what we have done, what have been our experiences or learnings from the national level, and then we can have the discussions. So I'm presently with the State Rural Livelihoods Mission. It's basically a centrally sponsored scheme, and it's otherwise called NRLM, National Rural Livelihoods Mission. The objective of this program is to promote sustainable livelihoods through community institutions. And the major sectors have been community institution building, financial inclusion, livelihoods, farm, non-farm skills, and of course, social inclusion. As far as the structure of the society is concerned, or working systems are concerned, it is being run, this program is being run through an independent society, which is Madhya Pradesh Rajya Ajivika Forum. And it has got three wings, one at the state level, State Mission Management Unit, which is an overarching structure to provide policy support and implementation support. District level are the key implementers, and the block level are the further, I would say, are the key soldiers who help us to implement the program successfully. Mission at a glance, just a brief that in Madhya Pradesh, we have 52 districts, 313 blocks, and our reach as far as the community development is concerned is 32 lakhs. And of these SAGs, 2.87 lakh SAGs have been formed, and village organizations are there, 26,000. Cluster level federations are 813, and bank linkage around 1400 crores, and community investment of around 861 crores. Women who have been organized in the agricultural sector is around 10.17 lakhs. I've shared this statistics with you. You can understand the kind of area within which the governments are working and what role the partnerships or the governments are doing to cover these families. Just a small briefing while going through the documents, how partnerships have been defined. You'll see that the ADB says a framework that while engaging the private sector, acknowledge and structure the role for the government in ensuring that social obligations are met and successful sector reforms in public sector investment is achieved. Wherein the World Economic Forum has widened this definition. Business and or not-for-profit civil society organizations working with partnerships with government agencies, including official development institutions, entails reciprocal obligations and mutual accountability. Voluntary or contractual relationships, the sharing of investment and reputational risk, and joint responsibility for the design and execution of any project. Further to say, the simplest definition has been of the Planning Commission, which is implementing government programs in partnership with the private sector, an opportunity for private sector participation in financing, construction, operation, maintenance of public sector programs and projects. Through these definitions, what we come through is that public-private partnership as a strategy has earlier been associated more in construction and other sectors. And it is in recent reforms that there has been an allied need of partnership with the private sector in the agricultural sector. We all know that about 60% of our population is in agriculture sector. We are having good production of various kind of food grains. Maybe we are number one in production of say milk within across the globe. We have sufficient food grains for us, but even then, how to increase the income of the farmer, how to reach the food to the people, how to reach other benefits to the community related to technology, the importance of partnership has actually risen. So when we talk about agricultural partnership, in simple words, we say that it's a formalized partnership that addresses sustainable agricultural development objectives. Public benefits anticipated from the partnerships are clearly defined. Investment contributions risk are shared, and active roles exist for both the government and the private partner. The definition which WEF has said that who will be the public partners? Yes, on one part, we totally agree that it will be the governments. In our case, it will be the central state and of course the local governments. The public sector enterprises, government funded universities, research institutions like yours, and of course various banks, specifically public sector banks, and the institutional international donors like IMF, World Bank, DFID, and many more. And when we talk about the private partners, these are galore agribusiness enterprises, farmer associations in the form of cooperatives, producer enterprises, PEs, individual farmers, non-government organizations, financial institutions. I'll be sharing all these things as with the real life examples also further what we are doing. Why is this required? I don't want to explain this in detail, so I have mentioned only 4 points. Can you all hear? There is some disturbance in between. Anamika ji, can you? There is some disturbance going on. Leveraging finances. One can very well understand that funds have always been a need of an hour, whether be it government, be it private sector, everyone has limited resources. So there is need for higher investments. Budgetary allocations are less. And of course, there are national debts also. Then these private partnerships are required for food security and inclusion, wherein we can think of value chain partnerships or mega public private partnerships related to large scale investments for fostering smallholders inclusion and food security in economies like ours. Innovation and market access. If we produce a wheat, that alone will not suffice. The market demand is increasing, the scenarios are changing. So, how it should reach? You can just see an example of multi-grain atta, how it is being sold by ITC and other organizations. Then marketing skills to achieve greater efficiency in both production and delivery of agri-food products. Risk sharing. Risk sharing is essential due to low returns, limited access to productive assets, high transaction costs, production risk associated with dealing with numerous small-scale producers, and of course, many a time there is a political risk. There is a change of guard at the top level. Say, for an example, MP has been a victim of it. 3 months ago, we had a different government. Now we have a different. So these things deter private sectors to invest. So herein the role of government comes in, wherein the government and the private sector can gel and come forward with things. So the partnership challenges, if you see, risk of distorting market conditions, unfair move of subsidies. Globally, in our country, we have got less subsidies. But globally, if you would appreciate that countries like America and Canada, they give more subsidies than we in the agriculture sector. Profit-oriented goals of the private sector versus socio-economic responsibilities, what a government has to. Sometimes there is lack of transparency, capacity of we people, the governments, and of course the supporting will of the public partners. One person may say, or one government may say that you work like this, and we will support you in the private, will support you to develop a chain of work. And other systems, other officials, or the higher ups may not agree to have private partners. So these are the challenges. I try to find out what kind of agreements are there between the partnerships. One is an MOU. MOU is very common in our state, which is a kind of a written record, I would say, not an agreement in that parlance, and it's a convergence of the will, indicating common life of action. Contract, of course, is an agreement of obligation which is enforceable by law. Equity arrangements, financial contributions by partners. Public-private company, when we see that a special purpose vehicle to channel funds and to implement partnerships. MOUs and contracts, you will see that these are very common and are understandable. Say, I had an MOU with ITC that you will support our people. You will support our people to help in farm sector to do SRI. So they agreed to. And contract came in when I had an agreement with a producer company for the buying and selling of the milk for our farmers. Equity arrangements are financial contribution. Usually in the contract, the financial contribution is from the buyer. But in case of partnerships, it is really important to understand that partnership means it is not alone financial contribution by the government. It includes that some kind of financial contribution or even the kind contribution will have to be from the partner. Otherwise, it becomes it is not a partnership. Then in that case, it is actually a kind of buyer and seller relationship. Public-private company, it is one of the important thing which has come up recently, and even government of India recently formed if real is formed an FDRVC in partnership with Tata Trust, which is supporting them in one World Bank supported project, National Rural Economic Transformation Project, NRETP. I hope many of you would have known what public-private partnership is. So, based on what I have shared earlier, I would like to correlate and share the real-life examples what we have done in Madhya Pradesh Livelihoods Mission with respect to private partnerships and how it has helped us enhance the growth, income, and other things in the rural areas. First is improvement in agricultural practices. We had an MOU with an organization called BAG, and they supported us in development of two projects. One was related to agri-horticulture, and another was an integrated cattle development program. In both these programs, the technical support related to training, capacity building, bringing in some kind of seedlings of good quality, facilitating exposure visits, all these things was done by the partner. And our role was to bring in, hello, hello,
Sir, you audible?
Anamika,
Sir,
I'm
you
audible.
audible?
Okay.
Perfectly audible.
Okay, there is some noise coming in. That is why I said someone has kept his has not muted himself or herself.
I
There is some echo.
I'll check it out, sir. I'll check it out.
Please.
Sir, I think it's fine now.
Okay, thank you. So
Yes,
we're talking about the improvement in agricultural practices. This program for about 7 years, because it was related to agriculture sector improvement, it almost quadrupled the income of our farmer. We had a study about it. I can share that with you, whoever needs it. So this is how one small program helped us to increase the horticulture and the cattle development. We did this in only 3 districts. As I said earlier, that there is always a resource crunch and some kind of, I cannot expand it immediately to 52 districts. But yes, the model was available to with me, and now we are slowly expanding it to another 7 districts. So by next year, we'll be having 10 more districts in improvement in agricultural practices, the specific to agri horticulture and ICDP program. Another partnership which SRLM had was with respect to innovation and technology transfer. It was in dairy technology. We had an MOU with the National Dairy Development Board Services. It's a company in itself. It's of NDDB Dairy Services, and they helped us to establish producer companies for milk collection in 2 districts initially. The best part was that producer company concept has been there since almost 14 years. But best part was it that the scaling up concept was not there. So the scaling up concept was given by these organizations and saying that the viability of a producer company is 1500 to 2000 members, the shareholders. We have a producer company which has got shareholders, 20,000 shareholders, and they are still increasing. So even being in the rural areas, this first concept has helped us. This first concept has helped us to increase the membership drive. Second was the technology. State of art technology is used for milk collection, which includes the measuring, pasteurizing it, transporting it to transporting it as a raw milk to the consumer. There is not an iota of leakage with respect to transfer of funds. Everything is fully computerized, and the transfer of funds is done twice in a month. Earlier, as the cooperative concept was that we'll be paying money usually twice in a month or once in a month, but now thrice in a month. And as soon as the farmer gives milk or pours milk into the container, and it is finalized, okay, this much is the fat percentage as is common. But major part is that he gets an SMS immediately that this much is was the milk and this is the price as per your fat. And at the end of 10 days or the 11th day, when the payment is to be made, the fellow gets that this is the total amount credited to your account. So this kind of technology usage in milk collection has helped and rather motivated my government, I'm telling you, that from 2 districts this year, I'm expanding it to 5 more districts. And from 40,000, I'll be reaching to 1 lakh farmers. Unfortunately, milk collection has been reduced due to this COVID-19. Even then, we we are here to create economic activities for the poor people. So, bearing the risk, we will be continuing with this activity, and we expect that maybe in an year or so, we'll be reaching some 75,000 farmers, if not 1 lakh. Next is NTFP promotion, non-timber forest produce. MP had an opportunity to form the first NTFP producer company in the country. And this was done with the help of Access Development Services, which is a Delhi based organization. And it was selected by Maharashtra Livelihoods Mission. And we took it as an advantage that one organization has selected through a process. So I'll share how procurements are to be eased, which Namika ma'am, while speaking, said that how procurement can be used for hiring of agencies. So a state has selected an organization. We got an order issued from Government of India that because it is the same program, same process, the bank's money is same, so can we use it? So through due diligence, the same organization was selected. And in NTFP promotion, the technology transfer was aggregation of few NTFPs at the village level in Shiopur district of Madhya Pradesh. It is near to Shivpuri, Gwalior, or one can understand Savai Madhopur in Rajasthan. The district is surrounded in by has a three different state culture: Rajasthan, UP, and Madhya Pradesh. But it is very poor. It has got primitive tribes there, and to enhance their income, we started this concept. And today we have got 5,000 farmers, women farmers, who are the members of this producer company. They collect the this manopaj uh, from the forest area there, and that is aggregated at the one collection center. There is a resource person who weighs, and after some kind of segregation or sorting, it is sold to the nearby. markets in Jhansi, Shivpuri, and Gwalior. The best part is how through this kind of partnership, ADS helped us through the system of providing the team of expert on one hand, another linking it to the market. Then usage of app. This is very common nowadays. It has been on trial in only one district, which we started during this COVID period. Had a had a very good response with the help of a private partner, and so vegetables and other farm products are being sold through the app, but in one district, Gwalior area, in the rural area of Gwalior and in urban parts. Then technology transfer has been for weather advisories and crop advisories. We had SkyMet with us and Cropin agencies who were hired through the process of World Bank procurement process. And they basically developed a system wherein on the mobile phones, the weather advisories were given to the farmers. And for this, we also had developed, rather, we used to call them the environment community resource persons who in every village write down the weather conditions and if need be inform the villagers that आज बारिश ज़्यादा होगा या कम होगा या धूप ज़्यादा होगा. Then with the help of crop advisories were through this mobile process and technology through SMS system. We had this in two districts, Mandala and Shivpur. In one of the districts, Sagar, we started with aromatic cultivation of essential oil, Pamarosa, Khas, and lemongrass. Further to it, market and infrastructure are concerned, then we need, as I shared about the producer companies, there are 39 producer companies in Madhya Pradesh within SRLM, which are from agriculture sector. Agriculture in the sense, I would say the seed production. Then there is a milk, poultry producer companies, NTFE producer companies. They provide a base for the market. Development of Ajivika Fresh, not similar to those Reliance Fresh and Big Bazaar kind of, but even then, we have developed, these are cart on wheels or shops in the semi-urban areas or in the hearts, which provide a market outlet for the vegetable products. And this is a combination of an SHG and also the individual farmers. Then wheat procurement through SHGs. It is a new concept. Earlier, it has always been through the cooperatives. But now the SHGs have become a kind of partner to the government and are helping it procure wheat. Till date, around 1.30 crores of wheat has been procured by the SHGs and their organizations. Rural hearts, very common. It is everywhere, but it's not similar to the Delhi heart or the Jaipur heart. Only thing is, herein the market is of the farm produce mainly, and they are our partners in selling products. Further is the value chain development partnerships with respect to dairy, which I shared with you in detail in the form of technology transfer. But it's a big value chain project wherein on one part the production is being done by the farmers, it's aggregated, or the procurement is done by the producer company, and marketing is done by the NDDB dairy services through to the various private and the public partners, maybe Mother Dairy or the Sachi, Duksang, or even to the Anik Ghee. These the milk is being sold. Then as a state, this year we came up with millets mission, Kodo Kutki. It has been very common that minor millets should be used, and it has become a buzzword in the urban areas. So, to encashing that system, we have for the 5 districts developed the value chain projects on millets, wherein the aggregation is being done through the producer company. Similarly, for maize, wheat, mustard, the producer company has been formed. Business Development Advisory Services, another partnership. There are individual farmers with us whom we have trained. They are now, we've got some 76 national level farmers, women farmers. We notify them as the Krishi Sakhi or the agricultural friends who are trained in various kind of agricultural activities, and they have further multiplied about 6,030 Krishi Sakhis are there in the state who are helping farmers in various kind of agricultural activities. Then the environment Sakhi, which are in 2 districts. Agricultural asset creation has been done in cooperation with MG and RAGS, wherein the cluster facilitation team, acronym for CFT, we have done. And of course, for market promotion, many other activities have been done. I'll share later. Training and capacity building partnerships is we have got community training centers who train the farmers on various kind of activities. Then there are individual farmers, NGO partners, and CSOs like Reliance Foundation. Reliance even did a webinar with our women members day before yesterday. Some 300 women were trained as if how to keep the crop nowadays and whatever agricultural things are required. These are our partners. Some 14 NGOs are there. 60 MOUs we have done. We have an MOU with BIF. We have with POD for beekeeping. Then there is Foundation for Development of Rural Value Chain, FDRVC. We have for millets projects with them. Few of the partnerships are in non-farm sector and financial inclusion also, which I have mentioned. The transformation terms which we are saying uh, has actually come in the form of the results we are getting. Roles and responsibilities, if you see, is creating a supportive regulatory environment, developing program concepts, ensuring state priorities, program terms and selection process, timely funding, linking partners to our district and local offices, and other technical and managerial assistance. Whenever a private partner goes to the market, to any district office, then the biggest challenge with them is to how to attach them with the district office. Maybe as a state, I'm saying that you start this activity, but sometimes the district officials may not be in sync. It happens. So it becomes an important role of the role for the state to gel the district office with those organizations. Timely funding is another important part because say recently we were to start the millet mission. I will be candid enough over here that due to COVID and delay in funds being received from the governments, this project is has now been extended by another 4 months. The season is being lost. Similarly, I would like to define the roles and responsibilities of the partners also. They have a major role. Reason being, governments do have a funding capacities, do have big knowledge partners, but I read somewhere that Milton Friedman has said that whatever a government will do in some 50 pounds, a private person can do it in 10 pounds. and it can be other way around with respect to timings also. So, private partner has a bigger role, which we expect that they need to develop business plan, analyze the markets, ensure that the funds, their contribution reaches us immediately, or it is, as mentioned, the partnership it is taken forward. The market and technical assistance is timely. The inputs in technology is provided immediately. Business development services, any kind of say financing or third party certification is done immediately. And of course, monitoring of the projects. You see the benefits. I'll share with the example large scale. One was I can recall uh, is related to dairy, wherein we said that we started with some 2,000 farmers. Today we are having some 20,000 and have a vision to reach it to 1 lakh in a year or so. Possibly we may or may not be able to reach that. But large scale inclusion of community has come up because there is a market, they are getting money immediately, the technology transfer is very good. Similarly, in the case of NTFP example, which I shared with you earlier, say a sligum which was sold for say 80 rupees, and the farmers even in tribal areas are in the habit of taking advances for money. Now at least 40 to 60%, there is a big range. 40 to 60% is kept for the producer company, though another 40% means half of is 50%, we can say, remains to be sold to the farmers, to the brokers directly, but 50% is coming to the producer company A. The number of people who we started with was with 800. Today it is 5,000 plus. Similarly, large scale inclusion has also come up with respect to various commercial vegetable cultivation, because there is an assured market through cart on wheels kind of concepts. Then increase in economic activities. That is SHG as a role, as a system, or when we are talking to farmers within the governments, they'll say, no, you're talking only about mobilization. You're talking only about trip and credit. But that won't do. Higher order economic activities have reached to the farmer. There is a technical transformation and use of latest technology. One technical transformation of the technology is what I shared for the dairy project. Another is in the form of custom hiring centers, which are developed at the village level. Some 314 custom hiring centers are there, and the numbers are increasing. These custom hiring centers are actually the tool banks, wherein the farmers get all kind of latest technology, the poor farmers, and they have to give some fees. So this partnership between the village organization or the SAGs with the government, that the farm department says you develop, you keep these instruments with you. There'll be some grant. You manage it. Profit is yours. You will have to manage. Only thing is that it should reach to the maximum number of people. The concept came in around in 2017 when we had some 14, next year 44, and later today we are having 300 plus such CLCs. Then increase in productivity. You'll appreciate that production has gone manyfold, 20,000 liters of milk to 1 lakh liters. In the case of SRI, with the help of the concept of SWI, SRI, and not only this, with these things, we also did the mustard intensification program in districts like Gwalior and Shivpuri. So it is not that you are keeping the concept only of SRI, which came up from one organization. Okay, SRI was done somewhere in Jharkhand, you copied it. No, people innovate themselves, and their innovation helps to increase productivity further. Building business and technical acumen of the community leaders. 6,000 Krishi Sakhis are there. These Sakhis, some 700 have trained farmers in UP, Punjab, Haryana. So MP is one of the poorest states. It does not have a history of having more wheat production, but it is self-sufficient in many products. As today, because of some government policies, wheat production it has reached to third or second level, sometimes fourth. But otherwise, MP did not have this kind of quality. So this farmer and government partnerships, which I was stating that individual farmers also become partners with the government, has helped a lot. Transparency and ownership. Obviously, when incomes are, when production is increasing, people are having good know-how. The ownership towards the systems are increasing because they are themselves the owners of the system. Higher income. Obviously, when production has increased, good markets are there, income has increased, and raising standards of living. Obviously, incomes lead to raising standards. And as it is sometimes said, paisa ho kol to karan bhi makhol. If you have more money, you can enjoy better life. Few challenges in next 5-6 minutes I'll share. There are just 2-3 slides left. One is the regulatory signing of an MOU. Signing of an MOU with FDRVC took almost 5 months. The project was approved in December, and I signed this MOU in almost on 3rd of May or so. 4th May, when this lockdown was open. Not alone that it was a lockdown. Herein, I would say that there were parts within the governments which were not agreeing to various clauses, and because of this, the delay of 5 months has led to a delay of the project by next cycle. Various challenges, technical and operational, which is maybe money related, maybe related to its functioning. Next is social environmental mobilization and acceptability in the community. Few things sometimes do not get agreeable to the community. So for that, one has to put in more efforts. Adding producer as a partner. We are saying public-private partnership, 3P model, wherein the key person is the producer, public-private producer partnership. So many a time adding a farmer or the producer as part of this partnership is a challenge. As far as mission is concerned, it's fine. But when I go for convergence with horticulture department or with agriculture department or with the tribal development department, within my department schemes like MGNREGF, under having concept of producer as a partner sometimes creates challenge for us. Monitoring constraints at the field level. I'm saying there are 6,030 women farmers. My production of milk is 20,000. Agriculture, I have got some 4.16 lakh families in commercial vegetable cultivation, but these are numbers. How much they are producing further, what are the problems they are facing. So reaching them at such a large scale. When I started, I showed you my slide of the state. Those things create some constraints to us. Nevertheless, there has been a good initiative within the state. Even at the national level, you would see that PM Annadatta Aay Sanrakshan Abhiyan, point 3 of this point, pilot on private procurement stockist scheme. So one step herein was an SHG member coming in for procurement of goods, because SHG are a member of private, are a private member. It is not a government organization altogether. So at least one step, national level policy is helping us. Then Grameen agricultural markets, the national level systems of partnerships. Agri Market Infrastructure Fund was created. Inclusive growth in aspirational districts. There are 70, 17 districts. In Madhya Pradesh, there are 8 districts which are aspirational out of the 115 in the country. So here in special policies for partnerships have come up. Then Soil Health Card Scheme, many of you must be knowing it was started in 2015. Soil Health Scheme, we started in two of the districts, Shiopur and Mandala, in our environment project, the climate change project. Its results were very good. So herein, I would suggest that the transformation of the transformation in agriculture to public-private partnership is not only through the partnerships or signing of an MOU. What matters more is the kind of implementation, the kind of people you have, the acumen of your HR, and also the liberties given in our laws, which I have few of which I have shared here, and also the willingness of the government and the private sector that will help us force these partnership more and more. And one thing is aptly clear that a single person or one person means one person herein I'm saying the government cannot do everything, private sector cannot do everything on its own. There needs to be a gel between them to come forward and have good activities which help to increase productivity, markets, incomes, and also in these kind of distress times, it is only the partnerships that helps. The milk production, I'm again and again taking this same example, only because the systems were established, farmers are not having that much of problem. Same is in the case of the CHCs, the custom hiring centers. They have those implements because farm sector was always open. Had it not been there, the income which our farmers, those 314 centers earned in last 2.5 years or so, they have earned double the income over here. I haven't shared here the economics in these papers. I've just tried to frame it in the form of presentation so that the discussions can be means I can have a framework of what to be shared with you. The numbers are obviously there in on our websites and also on the government and also on the other government websites and reports. Another thing which I would like to share here about this public-private partnership is I missed out this international experiences of partnerships in various countries which are there. Say if we say in Ghana or in countries like Tanzania, where they have done large scale means far further national level partnerships for various kind of activities within the systems. We as a national government in India, we usually try to shell out or rather give these powers to the states, and states further delve it to the district or the village panchayat. But there are countries which are doing this partnership at a much higher level. And this buzzword, I think the time has come, the kind of when we are saying the self-sufficiency or one has to work in for more agricultural things in further for next 6 months, God forgive. I think more and more partnerships will be required. A. B. Next step would be how the computers can be used. Means it cannot be restricted to you and me having the webinars. There are two IITians. You people would have also read those who were trying to, uh, rather who have developed an app and they have sent SMSs that producer comes closer to the buyer. So these things are now required more, and I think such kind of partnerships will further help us to improve the standard of living of our people further. So thank you all. This is what I had to say now. Partnership in discussions with you. I think I'm on time. Please.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you, Ramanji. Thank you so much for such knowledgeable session. I'm sure the participants are benefited by this vivacious presentation of yours. It has covered all the major aspects of public-private partnership mode and the change it has brought to today's agri field, especially in the times of, or as said by PM Narendra Modi ji, दैट हमारे देश को आत्मनिर्भर बनना होगा और हमारे गांव को हमारे किसानों को आत्मनिर्भर बनना होगा. So I think your presentation was covering a lot many aspects in this context of atmanirbharta. I request the participants to kindly type their queries in the chat box, or we can take the queries one on one. The participants can unmute their mics and come up with the queries, or you can type the queries in the chat box.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, please बोलिए. Yes, we can hear you. Please proceed with your query.
Yes, ma'am. What percentage of employment are eliminated by public-private partnership, and which department reduce unemployment the most?
Ramanji, I think the query is audible to you.
Yes.
Kindly please answer.
As far as unemployment figures are concerned, it's since it is an agriculture sector, it is basically the disguised unemployment which is more there. So, numbers of unemployed, we are not talking. We say that they increase productivity more. Unemployment, the disguised unemployment, of course, gets reduced, and this data is available with the statistical department that does these kind of studies. But our average has been if we have more partnerships, then the numbers, this kind of unemployment per se, exact numbers would be possible, but stating them in percentage would be very difficult. But of course, if I calculate my entire scenario in Madhya Pradesh, means in the Ajivika mission, I feel I would have reduced around 4.4 lakhs people have been additionally employed with the help of these kind of partnerships in last 2, 3 years or so. But that is to be verified through various sources. This is one guess estimate. Yes. Any other question?
Anamika, please address the chat box also. Is there any
Ramanji,
question in chat box?
yeah. Ramanji, there is one question in the chat box by Kajal. What is Ajivika mission? Ramanji, am I audible to you?
Yes, 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 yes. Ajivika Mission is actually the National Rural Livelihoods Mission. It is also called Ajivika Mission. My first slide.
I think we must thank Mr. Raman Wadhwa for his nice presentation. And NIAM has requested him to take care about this one webinar, and we are grateful to Mr. Raman Wadhwa, the CEO of NPSRL Bhopal. He has taken care very well and appreciate his presentation, and it's followed by the question and answer time. Hope so. This kind of synergy and association will continue. Mr. Raman Wadhwa. Now, thank you, Mr. Wadhwa. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mithil sir. Thank you so much. The kind appreciation.
Anamika,
On
please
my
take it on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, all good things come to an end. So does this. On my personal
Yeah.
behalf and on behalf of CCS NIAM, on behalf of Center of Public-Private Partnership, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to Sri Raman Wadhwa, our guest speaker for the day. I would like to thank Dr. Ramesh Mittal, Chairman, Center of Public-Private Partnership. Thank you, sir, for sparing your precious time. I thank all the participants for being here. I personally bow my thanks to the IT support team, to the webinar promotion team, everybody involved in CCS NIAM rigorously to make this webinar a success one. Thank you so much, sir. Definitely, we'll be meeting you in many more such sessions of the same center and of the other centers as well. Thank you, participants. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Good day.